G'day everyone, it's SES SuperCoach and we are doing SuperCoach Throwdown Thursdays once again, Season 1, Episode 5, probably my worst intro to start, but that's all right. Joining me as always every week is Damo from the Footy Mailbag. Damo, how are the traffic lights looking?
Yeah, putting them together for the Footy Mailbag to be posted later today. Hopefully team selection is kind. Struggling to put together the forward line. Most people's forward lines are pretty settled as it stands, so not a lot of players to talk about. So yeah, just trying to work that out.
That's all right. Make sure before we get started, make sure that I've posted on Twitter the StreamYard link to this. So if you go on Twitter, you're more than welcome to jump on, and if you're available, say good day and be a caller. I've also put it in the comments down right here if you want to jump on and be a caller. Use that. You can follow me on Twitter at Stephen D.W. Smith and also on TikTok, SDS_SuperCoach. I did put your Twitter and TikTok on the description, but I forgot. Is it the Footy Mailbag for the TikTok, and then Twitter? It's Damo SC and at the Footy Mailbag.
I can double check that for you. Give me a moment. I don't have it offhand.
That's all right. We've got plenty to get through. We'll do a quick summary of our teams to start off with, as always. We've got on the hot seat. We always look back at the result of a topic that we talked about last week and see how things panned out. So we'll talk about Marriage versus Humpty Dumpty, how that's looked. We'll talk a little bit about the rookie discussion as well. There's a fair few rookies available, and also coming up as well is Jake Saligo legit, Rankin questionable for tonight's game against the Cats to open gather round. We'll talk more about Primo swapping and fake Primo swapping, basically. What did end up going right for Sheasel and Jason Horne-Francis over the weekend? Team structure, we'll talk about a fair bit for Best 22, what we need to do. What are some rucks we can target as for Flynn Artois that have held him through Best 18? Best Primos to jump on. That's actually not plural. Best Primo in general to jump on. And we got C and BC options. So we got a fair bit to get through. If you're watching, make sure you give it the stream a like and chuck in a few comments. We're very happy to talk about any questions that you guys might have, as is this week is another big week. Damo, I did question, and definitely don't get me wrong, opening round we would love to get scrapped. But one thing it has meant is it feels like round 3, round 4, round 5 have been important weeks of trading than before. Does that feel about right to you?
Definitely feels like early parts of the season have been more important to trade than usual. Without opening round in years gone by, we've been able to hold our trades until about upgrade season, assuming there was nothing to correct. So these days it's always trading, always go, go, go. And luckily having the extra trades, the 40 trades instead of the 30 trades, we've got a bit of that leeway, but it feels like there's a lot of movement early in the season when there hasn't been in the past.
Very much so. And that is an adjustment we've had to make, but it also strengthens coaches that are really smart at doing trades. And that has been a bit of a summary for the start of the season. Just some of these moves that have been talked about throughout the week, and some things paying off, others not. I'll tell you one thing as well, Damo. Feels like this year so far has been a bit punishable for coaches that have tried to go a bit early on some of these good rookies to trade off, and just for them to be even more relevant than when they were injured. Does that feel about right?
What do you mean?
Oh, sorry. So just sort of like Elijah Sardis, for example, people might have looked to have shipped off, but he's actually gotten even stronger as an option than what he was before with the Caldwell injury, the run that they've got coming up, the potential increase of CBAs with Caldwell being out. You look at Mitch Nevitt, there was a plantar fascia, and we were sort of thinking, okay, we don't know what the timeline is, and now he's back in tonight for the team. We'll see if his name's sub, but that's a good result for Nevitt holders. And Xavier Lindsay, that could have been some people were moving off. He was the most traded out player heading into round 4, I believe, and now he's back. It's Simon Goodwin has said that he's available for selection tonight. So, how do you view swapping out some of these rookies when we get limited information, but it hasn't paid off for some?
I think Sardis and Lindsay always had the same timeline. I don't think those timelines were ever hidden. But just to speak on Nevitt, I don't know if I can ever trust Chris Scott with any injury report ever again, or Geelong with any injury report ever again. Obviously,
it's hard, yeah.
Obviously they release what's there. They give us the timelines as per the AFL direction, but then they're making 2 or 3 late changes. It feels like every single week, and it's just hard to trust. So it's great that Nevitt's back. It's great that people who held him will be rewarded, and I know some people are trading him back in, which seems a little strange. To me, I don't like using 2 trades on one player, but
yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't trust Geelong's injury reporting, but I mean, in terms of Sardis and Lindsay, their timelines were always going to be the same.
Very much so. Before we get into the next topic, we'll just get through a few of these questions here. Tone V, thank you for jumping on, mate. Trading Jackson to Gawn over Meek. Didn't want to trade Jackson. I feel like this week is the right week to be moving on Luke Jackson, given Sean Darcy's return is imminent. Do you like Gawn over Meek?
I think Gawn. Well, everyone doesn't know what to do with Gawn, but he came out and scored 122 last week, which is pretty good. I mean, people are upset because it's not Gawn's standards, but about a 110 to 120 score from Gawn is probably what he's going to produce these days, especially the way that Melbourne's going.
Very much so, and Meek's a very sneaky option because I believe Hawthorn's run does open up a fair bit for the next 6 weeks. I think there's Melbourne in there, Richmond in there, West Coast in there. So Meek actually isn't a bad shout if you want to go to him. I'm counting the extra 10 as correction trades. Fair enough. I think we're all in that same boat. Glad Nevitt's back. Yep, that's very good to hear that Nevitt is returning. Hopefully isn't sub for people. Who to play? Which 2 this week? Trainer, Reid, and Pryor, and doing Bice as well at D5. Yeah, so Bice you field each week regardless of matchup. I'm in that similar situation. I'm in the exact same situation. I think I'm going. It's between Trainer or Pryor. I think Reid could spike as well. It's a tough one. You leaning towards something?
For me, it's probably Reid or Pryor, because if you look at last week's game against Melbourne, Geelong's defense feasted. If we look at some of the scores that their defenders came out with, Tom Stewart, 118, Zach Guthrie, 114, Connor O'Sullivan, 103, Sam DeConning, 92, Lawson Humphreys, 86. Even Ocean Mullen came up with a 70. Like, he's a lockdown defender, and he was still finding the pill and scoring well.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I think I think Melbourne is going to be a pretty big honeypot, especially while that forward line is still gelling together. So I would think that Pryor and Reid are the 2 that you probably are tossing up between. But I mean, Trainer as well. Freo's been giving up a lot of points to defenders as well. So I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. And obviously you can't loop them because they're all going to be playing. Trainer being a key-ish defender, Reid being a key-ish defender makes me lean towards Pryor as your D6 for this week. But
yeah,
I don't think there's going to be much separating them.
I'll tell you what. I remember at the start of the season where it was just there was a lot of negativity, but geez, some of these defender rookies are now really starting to blossom. And this week definitely feels like a week where we could get the rookie roulette on the bench this week as well. So best of luck to anyone looking to decide there. Yeah, you've probably leaned me more towards Pryor now. Good stuff, Damo. This is why you're a legend. Lindsay back this week. Let's go. Yep. A lot of coaches needed that held. MCB me. Thank you for jumping on each week. You're a regular for us, so I really do appreciate. We really do appreciate you jumping on, even though it's not the best of times for people. G'day, lads. Hope you're travelling well this week. Hope you're doing good as well, mate. What do you think about going Callahan, Nod, Fraser to Stewart, Thilthorpe, and Hall?
I've got something. So GWS play at Norwood Oval. Norwood Oval is about the shape of a biscuit and the size of a biscuit. I think Callahan could have a bounce back game. And watching that Eagles game last week, he was actually doing all right. He just wasn't impacting at the right moments when the game was in the balance early on. Once the Giants pulled away and they were going to pull away, his disposals weren't impacting the play and getting those impact points the same way as he would have if he was having the same impact early in the game. So I can understand why people are getting rid of Callahan, but I also can understand why people are wanting to hold him. I'm an owner. I'm going to hold him. I think he's going to come good eventually. I think that he just needs to clean up his disposal a little bit. It's a little bit like the way that Horn Francis was going a few weeks ago. He's now sort of cleaned up himself. I know it's only one game that we're talking about with Horn Francis, but I mean Callahan, I think he's going to be fine. But NOD, Fraser, Callahan to Stewart, Thilthorpe, and Hall. You just got to decide what you're expecting from Thilthorpe as a key forward ruck type. There will be a game coming up where he does only score a 50 or 60, not through no fault of his own, just getting a good matchup. And as a key forward ruck type, he is going to get shut down at some point.
Yep, I agree. And I guess I think as well Windhager would go to Tom Green. That would be my guess on who Windhager goes to. Feels like the mould of player that Windhager would go one-on-one with, not Callahan. I think Callahan and probably McRae probably match up against each other. That would be my guess. I think Nod and Fraser are very much guys that you can move on. So I totally get that. Stewart, you could probably hold off for another week, but they got Adelaide. You could probably hold off for one more week. I think he'll be fine at a similar price next week if you want to upgrade to him. Thilthorpe, there'll be ebbs and flows, but gee, he's a good player to watch. And Clay Hall's one of the absolute great options for this week as a rookie. So I don't mind those moves. Maybe if you could do Nod and Fraser to one of Stewart and Thilthorpe and Hall, then that's probably what I'd lean towards. But
I've also noticed that he's mentioning 3 trades, which means he'll be using a boost. Just be careful about using too many boosts early on. Obviously, in the buy rounds, you do get those 3 trades during the buys, but if you've already used 2 boosts and this is your 3rd, then maybe you might just want to hold that boost and just do Nod and Fraser to Stewart and Hall and just let that be your trades. And I know Thilthorpe is in form and he looks like he's going to be the next big thing, but just be mindful of how many trades you're using, how many boosts you're using early on, because I needed a boost late last season. Believe it or not, there was a round where we got smacked with injury, and I think the flex will kind of save us from that late in the season. But there will be a week where you want that boost late in the season, and if you've all used them up before it gets to mid-season, I think there's going to be a little bit of trouble.
I agree, and I've used 2, so I'm looking to hold the rest for upgrades. For me personally, I don't think I don't have any troubles with people looking to correct using the boost because we want to prioritize cash gen and dud and getting rid of these dud picks. But yeah, just be mindful of that. JG, how are we going, mate? I can finally catch this live. Thank you for jumping on. You're an absolute legend of the SuperCoach community. Great to finally have you on, joining in the live. Love your work, mate. One of these defenders will be in the flex. So this was going back to. Okay, so he needs a. So who would be the one you wouldn't field?
I'd field Pryor and Trainer and bench Reed, I think.
Yeah, I think Reed's just as good as he was against Port, just a little unreliable at this point in time.
Reed will probably have the Jai Amos or Patrick Voss matchup. Sorry, no, Reed will have. No, wait, what am I talking about? I'd field Reed and Pryor. Sorry, because
Ahead of
Trainer will get either Voss or Amos.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and I think
Sorry, I got my players mixed up, but my matchups.
You're all good, mate. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, so probably bench Trainer then for you, Corey. Hope that answered it for you. I asked you earlier in the week about Dudley Damo. Would you trade Campo if not named to him?
No. Switkowski is a test to return. Hayden Young's going to return. Sean Darcy's going to return. I think Freo could make about 4 changes this week, and I think Dudley's going to be one of the unlucky ones.
Oh, so you reckon he's like fully getting dropped? You reckon?
Switter's coming back, similar player. I like Dudley. I think he adds something. So maybe Switter comes back for someone else, but I still think his job security is a little shaky.
Okay, yep. I feel like he would be a good sub as well. So yeah, I guess. Well, Damo's the Freo man, so if you need any advice on some Freo lads, make sure you talk to him. Good advice. Cheers, lads. Cheers, mate. Tone V, a lot of Primo still have 1 week of price drops. That is true. Causa, I'm worried with Thilthorpe as unsure with new DPP coming in with Martin, Warner, and Truck. I'm worried he won't be top 6. Can't wait to see who we get next time around as well. Yeah, so I don't know about you, Damo. My forward line is filled to the brim with options where I literally can't field Davidson until next week when DPP hits. So I can't get him on field. And yeah, so that's probably with me. I don't know if you're in that same situation. My forward line is filled.
I have a forward in my flex.
Yeah. There's just so many good options in the forward line this year compared to last year, where Thilthorpe would be, if this was Thilthorpe last season, it'd become extremely interesting. Like I believe I got asked about Ben Keys as well. I'd probably try to put a pod in a different line over the forward line for me personally. MCB me. I was asked by a mate whether it was too late to bring in Murphy Reed. I wasn't sure. What do you guys have to say? Damo, floor's yours.
Murphy Reed. He's about 250k, I believe. Let me just look him up. He is
I would assume it's too late.
He is 259k. Still got a negative break even.
Gee.
He's going to get a lot more responsibility with Nathan O'Driscoll out, so he might be a guy that gets a bump in scoring. He might be the guy that sits on that wing now that O'Driscoll is out as well.
Oh.
So we could see Switter come in, and then there's a bit of a shuffle with Reed moving on to that wing. So I personally feel that once a rookie's already had 100k plus in price rise, it's too late to jump on them.
Yeah.
But still got a negative break even, still scoring really well. He's still building. We still haven't seen the best of Murphy Reed, like especially if you ask the NAB Rising Star nominations committee, whoever that is. So I don't like it, but I understand it.
I understand the consideration. I guess it's a similar boat with Connor O'Sullivan, but the difference is Murphy Reid's role could be changing in a good way. We know Connor
In a good
O'Sullivan's role
way.
is going to
Yeah.
stay.
Correct.
So, yeah, I think there's more discussion to had about going with Murphy Reid. I'd probably still just let it go. One of the rookies a lot of us missed. HHFC forever. I assume you mean that you're a Hawk supporter. Shout out to you. Is Stone worth a sideways trade to Sardis or Nevitt? I'd probably do it for Sardis. Not sure about Nevitt.
Sardis, I would do. Let's have a look at Connor Stone. Yeah, he's not really doing what we expected him to do. 64, 42, 46, 29. Yeah, there's not a lot of money being generated there.
Does
Break
have the
even
Saints this week though.
True, but has a break even at 24, pretty much back to where he started. Yeah, I do like Stone to Sardis if you can make that move and you want to get rid of him. If you've already traded out Nevitt, I wouldn't be using another trade to trade him back in. I said earlier, I don't like using two trades on one player.
Would you do it for Sardis?
If he's already traded out Sardis, I think Sardis is gone. I think you're better off bringing in someone fresh, someone like a Clay Hall, someone Stone to Clay Hall, Stone to Travalia. If you missed Riley Bice, Stone to Bice, perfect.
Okay, fair enough. Causa would rather Cleary next week for 30 more K over Dudley. I agree. I think the job security is there, and the job security is there for the short term. For the medium term with that Tom Papley injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Cleary is a really strong rookie for next week. It seems like we've got a fair few rookie options next week. I think Sandy Brock is interesting. I even think Sardell Hawley could be interesting as well. But with the 16
like Hawley. I like Sardell Hawley.
Same.
I hope he is not the sub again. If he is the sub again, it almost wipes him off the board as an option. But if he can survive the subs vest and play a full game against Melbourne, I am going to be looking at him very hard next week.
Yeah, I know JG's in the comments down below. He's a Mad Bombers man. Give us a good vibe on old mate El Hawley. JG, should we trade Nevitt if he is sub again tonight? Could end up losing coin. I reckon so. Yeah, that cash gen will take too long. MCB me, cheers guys. I'll pass that along. No worries, mate. I think we might. Thank you guys for all the comments. This has been a record start for all the comments.
Yeah, mate.
We've a few of the
spent 20 minutes answering questions and not going through the run sheet.
Yeah, no, great stuff, guys. Appreciate it. Let's talk about a couple of things as we get into the run sheet. Let's talk about Marich versus Humphrey.
Can we not?
Oh, you agreed to it on Twitter, so we will. Yeah. So Humphrey versus Marich. Now, I didn't see a second of either game on the weekend. So, Damo, if you watch the games, I feel like you can give us a good view. So, I actually didn't. I just know that Marich took all the kick-ins, and I heard a little bit about Humphrey spending a lot of time forward. Could you discuss?
Ryan Marich scored like a CD love child. He one kick was earning him like 25 points. But he looked okay. He looked good. I don't know if it feels like I feel like one of those flat earthers because I'm still not convinced by Ryan Marich, despite what we've seen, despite how he's scoring. I'm still not convinced he can keep it up. So, and then Humphrey only scored in 2 of the 4 quarters or 2.5 of the 4 quarters. in that first quarter, I think he didn't come on until about 10 minutes in, and then was off again for like the last 5. So it was like that first quarter really didn't fill a lot of people with confidence. But he then went into halftime on 40 points, and then went into 3/4 time on about 45, and then ended on 60 something, and then was scaled down to 64. So I think over the next few weeks, when Gold Coast play North and then Richmond, we'll probably get another few spike games from him, and that'll be good for owners. And Marek owners would be winning at the moment, but I think Humphrey's got a good run coming up where he could level the scores.
Yeah, and I've seen. Yeah, so I know I said last week I was going Humphrey. I actually went Marich in the end. So look, there's still another couple of stories to tell with this debate here. With Bailey Humphrey, I've seen some talk about trading him out. I thought the whole purpose of trading in Bailey Humphrey was to get that North Melbourne, and not the whole purpose, but part of the reasoning for bringing him in was for that North Melbourne and Richmond matchup.
I think there was
trading him.
I think there was a small selection of people who thought he could be a keeper, but
Yeah,
he had a negative break even, still has a low break even of 18. He's probably going to get up to about 400k, but by the time we really are done with him, he would have done his job by that point, and that's like, as a money maker, perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't, as I mentioned, I was busy with the move in, so I didn't see much footy over the weekend. But Humphrey, I believe, is a hold for another couple of weeks, and he'll. We talked about it last week. We saw Humphrey as the better chance of being a keeper over Marich, and we also talked about probably Marich is more sustainable to score in that role. But yeah, Marich won week 1. I think things could turn this week, though. I've got a feeling Humphrey will be bouncing back for sure. They've got North Melbourne this week, Richmond next week. See how he looks after those games, and we go through it. So yeah, and I know I probably know your answer. I know a few people talking about Marich as a trade-in this week to potentially replace Nod. Would you look at doing that?
Yeah, no. He's still got a negative break even.
Do you reckon he's got another 100k on him?
I wouldn't do it, but I can understand why people would do it.
Yeah. That's a swap that could be done with not much money. Let's talk about Jake Saligo while we're at it, because I'll tell you what, he's really flying under the radar as an option for SuperCoach, and that's why it's hard to predict some of these breakout options, and seems like a real breakout year for Jake Saligo. Some really comfortable scoring in SuperCoach. I'll bring up his scores, but how do you view? What's your view on him, Damo? I'll bring up his scores. So he scored 126 last week. Just on my phone for this. 114 against St Kilda, 108 against Essendon, and then 108 again against North Melbourne. He would be one of the few guys that have consistently scored 100 each week.
I like Jake Saligo. I think this was coming. There was a point last season where he had a time when he had time in the midfield. Matthew Nicks obviously was trying a few things late in the season, moved him off the wing, gave him more of a midfield rotation. We remember the headaches of having Billy Dowling in our side late last year. I think this move was coming. I wasn't expecting this kind of scoring, but this move was coming. And will he sustain it? I'm not entirely sure. I think the midfield options for us are still working themselves out. I think we have more of an idea of what the defenders and what the forward's going to look like than we do what the midfield is going to look like. There is still some guys with high averages riding like that one score that they had early on. So we're still waiting for the midfield to shake itself out. But Jake Saligo, only just tipped over 500k now. He still has a pretty low break even of 66. Whether you're getting him now and considering him to be a keeper, or later on, if he stops scoring these types of scores, he would have made money. He would be an easy swap to someone else if he continues to score the way he does, the way he is.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering. I guess the shift has been obviously Adelaide's form has been a lot better than it has been in previous years. Is the CBA's up? Was it up last week?
I could not tell you. I don't look at CBAs
I'll check
very
that
often.
now. I'll bring up good old DFS. Yeah, because let's have a look. So Saligo's CBA so far this season, yeah, they're up 51, 49, 70, and 73. So the last 2 weeks they've been up tremendously. I wonder if that was so it's really due to James Peatling dropping in CBAs. I'll tell you what, I didn't see this coming at the start of the year. I thought he was going to be a really strong CBA midfielder for the Crows, but turns out he's just been sort of the fifth man in line, getting the pinch hit every now and then. First 2 weeks were strong. Sid Draper's had a bump as well. I personally reckon that's probably due to Matt Crouch being out for the Suns game. But yeah, Jake Saligo has been, we were looking at
number 4.
Yeah,
Jake Saligo's been number 4.
Yeah, he's been heavily involved in there. He's the fourth ranking for CBAs for the Crows this season. Would you consider jumping on as a pod?
Yeah, I like Jake Saligo. I think he's good. 50k less than Jordan Dawson. They're both scoring similarly. I think I think Dawson is the safer pick, but Saligo is the fun pick.
Yeah. If you want to have fun for SuperCoach for once, just jump on Jake Saligo, I reckon. We'll get into a couple more things before we go back to the questions. Just a friendly reminder, if you do want to jump on the StreamYard and join us in the conversation, the link's down in below and also on Twitter. I posted it. Sticking with the Crows theme for tonight, Rankin is questionable tonight, we believe, with a corky in the calf, I believe that was said. He was named for tonight's game, but
he himself reckons that he's going to be fine. He himself says that he's going to be fine. He wouldn't have lied to Eddie Maguire, would he?
Oh, surely not. I'll tell you what, the stuff that comes out of the mouth of players, I don't believe it. So we'll just see tonight.
I reckon if you asked a guy that had torn his ACL if he was playing the next week, he probably would say that he's fine. So
yeah, I think the last source is the player themselves that you trust. And remember Bontempelli in the Hawthorn Dogs practice game? I'll be all right. He's still out with that calf strain. So, yeah, I mean, Rankin, I'm mild devil's advocate tonight, just as an excuse to field Davidson, where others might want to field someone a bit worse. So I wouldn't mind either way. I'd just rather Rankin be all good going forward. We would hope. One thing we didn't talk about, like we usually like to do on the start of our round Throwdown Thursdays, is our team summary for round 4. Damo, how did you go last week?
I scored a 1997, and which was okay, I guess. And I went up in rankings about 17k places. I started the year poorly, very, very poorly. So I'm just starting to move up now, and still a long way behind, but I'm moving in the right direction.
Luckily, ranks even don't matter too much at this point in the season. So you'll be right, Damo. The cream always rises to the top. I scored a 1965. which is one of my best weeks in in a while since round one. So I was pretty happy how it went. I VC'd TDK into Baz. If this was AFL fantasy, Baz would have slayed, but unfortunately not. So, he was a clean game away from being a strong captain, but that's all right. I was pretty happy with his performance. I think I avoided a fair bit of the carnage, which helped. I thought it was a good week, and I was happy how most of the boys went back on a rosy. Unfortunately, dealing with the Windhager tagged, it seems. So, hopefully this is the week that we can finally start climbing up the ranks a fair bit. Let's talk about, while we're talking about our teams personally, let's talk about team structure for Best 22. After 3 weeks of Best 18, what are some of the things we need to do to correct ourselves into Best 22? Is it filling the gaps with some of these rookies that we could get away with in Best 18, but now Best 22, game on, we need to fill those gaps immediately? What do you recommend for guys that after 3 weeks of Best 18, how do we adjust in Best 22?
I think this week the main focus with your trades should be to make sure that you have bench cover. You want to have as many jars on that shelf that you can put on and off your field and, not miss out on a score. You want 22 scores in a round, and you even want 23 scores in a round. So your worst one, your absolute nightmare score can drop out. You'll want to make sure that you've got all of the best scorers possible on your field in the right places as well. There is no point trading in a Bailey Humphrey and having him on the bench. I think that despite what he scored last week, you still want him on your field somewhere, whether he's in your forward line, in your flex position. He is someone that you definitely want on your field. So just make sure you're not stacking a line and then finding that you're not having your best scorers available to you to score for you in a best 22 week.
Yep, and we just got to prioritize getting these poor rookies off the field as we move closer to upgrade season. Those are the areas we need to target. And then this week in best 22, we don't want to be fielding Murray's, Jack Henderson, Connor Stone, that type of thing. We want our best rookies on the field as we move on to best 22. So that is really the priority. And people like me with Flynn at R2, unless he is named, we got to correct that ASAP. So that's what we need to be doing this week, just making sure that you don't have some of these poor rookies on field, because you can't get away with it for the next 7 weeks. We want to, and as we move closer to upgrade season, we want to target those weak spots in our side, those weak rookies that we have on field, to get them off the field and be getting an upgrade to replace them. So that's really the main priority for Best 22. Speaking of, actually, we'll get to a few of these questions now. We've missed a fair few. Rookie coach, boys, how are we? Hope you're going well, mate. I need to get him Dudley in, as it allows me to get with Whitfield. Worth it or laugh?
So Dudley would be a forward on your bench and probably in your F8 position. If it allows you to get Whitfield and you are trading out an F8 that is dead, like an Elijah Hewitt, I don't hate it if it gets you Whitfield, but I don't think that Dudley's job security is that strong. So you might only get 1 or 2 price rises out of him before you're waiting for a starring waffle performance to get him back in the senior side.
Would you even prefer to go early on Cleary instead?
Cleary is 25k more, so maybe he needs that extra cash to get Whitfield. But if you can afford Cleary, I would go early on Cleary before I would get on Dudley. But if Dudley allows you to get Whitfield and you're trading out a dead rookie like a Hewitt or someone along those lines, or a Patton or someone like that, then you could do it. You could do it, but I don't think you'll get. I only think you'll get 1 or 2 price rises out of him.
Fair enough. The Freo Whisperer Damo strikes again. Julian. Oi, what have I done there? Sorry. Oh, whoa. Hang on. What have I done here?
He's broken it. Hey, he's
I've
broken
broken
it.
it.
Oh, shit.
Oh, we're
Mark
really
Rodriguez.
close. There we go.
You found it.
Yeah, I'm not good at pressing buttons. Jonathan sorry. Back to Julian. Sorry, I forgot about that. That scared me a fair bit. I am worried for Cherry, Julian says. Are you? I think it's mildly fair to be.
I think I think his hamstring has affected his last 2 performances. He's fine. There's no issue with that. He had a light. He didn't really play a fully against Adelaide. Obviously, he came off the field quite a few times, and then against Sydney, they got absolutely smashed. So I'm not entirely worried. I'm not totally worried about Sherry. I would like to see him do well over the next few weeks to confirm that he's going to get back to his best. But I'm not worried about him. If he's your biggest worry at the moment, your team's in a pretty good spot.
Yep, that's a good point. And yeah, I don't know about. I guess for Cherry owners, would they have preferred to him probably miss a week just to make sure that he's all right? Because now you probably don't want him missing in best 23. So Cherry will be fine. It looks. I don't think he's going to miss any games with this. He will come down in price, so that is the unfortunate thing for owners. But we know Cherry's in the prime of his career. Still think he is the best ruck in the game. So if you have him, you just hold and just hope for a spike to get that back up. Jonathan Carr, g'day. Stephen Damo, g'day, Jonathan. Love your work, mate. Scorched Earth 1, how we going, mate? Hope you're doing well. Rookie coach, I could boost to drop other dead rookies and get Hall and Cleary along with Whitfield. Depends on how many boosts.
Yeah. If you're if you've used 0 to 1 boosts so far, absolutely use a boost. If you have used 2 boosts so far, I would not use a boost.
Yeah. And so you're saying you would save them for upgrades, of course?
I would save them for upgrades, absolutely, yes.
Yep. I think 2 boosts is fine to use over the first 5-6 weeks, but yeah, I'd probably look to just hold on to them for the time being. Rookie coach, love your work, mate. You're off to a flying start, I'll tell you that. So whatever gut feel it is, just go with it, mate. Let's get into a couple more of these points here. What's right? So what's right with Sheasel and Horne-Francis? So last week we had on the run sheet. What's wrong with them? This week we're adjusting it to what's right. I think for me, there's a clear adjustment in Sheasel's role that has really helped his scoring and hopefully going forward over the next few weeks. To me, it seemed like Sheasel was low on confidence over the first few weeks in my eyes. Just wasn't running as fast and as he was. So they put him half back, I think, just to get the feel for the ball back again. And I think they'll eventually move him back to that midfield forward role. So what's gone right with these picks, Damo?
I think Sheasel will get a boost with George Wardlaw coming back. I think there'll be less attention on Sheasel. Sheasel's more of the accumulator type, whereas and he can make a pretty solid impact, but he's not one of those players that can change a game off a few disposals. He's more of the accumulator type that can score well just by doing what he does. Move back to half back to get a bit of confidence. Looked good. He was moved back into the midfield late in that game against Sydney, and he was still chasing after the ball. I saw a confident Sheasel in that second half against Sydney, despite despite the way the result was going. It'd be nice if I could speak English. So Harry Sheasel, I think he's getting back to his best. I think owners don't have to worry about that. And then Jason Horne-Francis. He had an interview with Channel 7 Adelaide, I believe, during the week. And he said that he needed to get his mindset right. He needed to show people that he belonged at the level, and he needed to show that he had the cojones to play for Port Adelaide and be a leader, even at his young age. And he comes out, scores 100 SuperCoach points in half a game and then ends up with 28 disposals and 3 goals. He won't get 3 goals every single game, and he might not have the same sort of impact. But just when you buy these guys and their premiums, you just got to ride the lows. You just got to ride the form slumps, because they're gonna be they're gonna be fine.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I actually didn't think Horne-Francis was the worst trade out in the world, considering all these forward options. You had to make room for some of these guys. I actually don't think it was the worst call to trade out Horne-Francis. So I do actually feel a bit bad for owners that did move on. But hopefully that can reignite some scoring with Horne-Francis. It's obviously been a disappointing start, but a game like that can really boost a player's confidence. So, and we hope that the return of Butters as well probably helps him a fair bit. Seems like it did last week. So, Horne-Francis, and then Sheasel, in that role, do you honestly try to jump back on if you trade him out?
If you traded out Sheasel, I said this earlier, I don't like using 2 trades on the one player, especially back to back.
So you would just anti-pot at this point?
I would leave him. I would leave him for now.
Yeah.
Trading him out in round 4, bringing him back in round 5. That is 2 trades that you've used on one player. It just feels like a waste.
Yeah, that's true. And you're basically conceding defeat if you trade them out and looking to trade them back in. All right, so we've got a fair few more questions as well. So rookie coach, yeah, if not Whitfield, I'll be eyeing off Brayshaw or Clark. I think so. I can get a better rookie. Well, Freo's fixture opens up, I believe. Well, I mean, it's already been opened up, but I think for more defender scoring, I think it does open up.
Richmond, Melbourne, Adelaide, St Kilda, Collingwood over the next 5 weeks. Gets a little bit harder with the Giants in round 10. But then Port Adelaide, Gold Coast, North, Essendon, St Kilda again. It's a good run. It's a good run.
If rookie coach doesn't want to go Whitfield, maybe because it's just maybe not worth getting Dudley or whatever the case may be, who would you pick out of Brayshaw or Clark as an option?
I'm a massive Jordan Clark fan, but I like both of them. I own both of them. I think both of them are good. I think go with Clark.
Yeah, I think that it feels more of a hole. There can be a few other Brayshaws in the midfield. Clark is a beauty to watch. So I don't think you can go wrong with either, really. I mean, I personally started Brayshaw for that run, and that continues this week and over the next 7-8 weeks. Super coach. Hi guys, great job. Quick question: who would you trade in this week out of Marriage or Sardis? I'd probably go Sardis. Yeah, I'd go Sardis. I think a few things have opened up for him now. We'll get to your question in a sec, Matthew. We may as well continue the discussion with this man. Out Roberts, O'Driscoll, and Callaghan. In Whitfield, Brayshaw, someone. I wouldn't be trading Roberts.
Yeah, why are people trading Roberts? Are they scared about Riley Bice? I know that it's been one game. We're reacting to one game.
No, so SuperCoach, I don't mind the Callaghan trade out. The O'Driscoll one makes sense. Whitfield and Brayshaw, good trades in. I wouldn't be trading out Roberts, though. I would not be trading out Roberts just yet. He might be a trade next week, but Collingwood is an easy matchup for defender options. So, I mean, interesting discussion next week if he does go bad. 500K. Yeah, I wouldn't be trading Roberts personally. Whitfield and Brayshaw are brilliant options. So, but yeah, I'd probably be looking elsewhere, Damo.
Yep, I agree.
Matthew, should I go Fraser to either Clark, I believe that's Jordan Clark, Nazai Wanganeen-Millera, or Dale, leaving cash to get Stewart next week, or go straight up to Sinclair but potentially fall short of getting Stewart next week? What do you think? I'd be going for one of Clark, Nas, or Dale so you can get Stewart next week. I'd prefer that. I think Sinclair's just too expensive now.
Matthew, I'll let you in. So on the Footy Mailbag, we release the traffic lights on Thursdays about just after team selection, and I can let you know that one of the squares this week is Nazai Wanganeen-Millera. He is averaging 110 with only one score below 110 so far, which was a 96. He is having a quietly good year because he's got teammate Jackington Sinclair taking all the spotlight off him. Wanganeen-Millera is going to be Moneybags Millera soon, the way he's playing.
Yeah, he's highly underrated as a SuperCoach option. So, I mean, if I had to rank them, I'd probably still go Clark 1, but Nas is very close. Dale, I think, is a little bit behind the pack there out of those two. I think Dale's still fine. The backline's to himself, but I think Clark and Wanganeen-Millera are better picks with those. So, look, I think Damo agrees as well. I'd be going one of those three to get Stewart next week. I think you'll get more points on the board and good value instead of just going straight up to Sinclair. I feel like the boat's been missed, and you just hope that a couple of down scores he can get to a cheaper price. Brad, my man, SuperCoach Pro. Yo, we get extra trades during the buy, so boosts ain't that important. I feel I might use a fourth boost to get rid of Finn. Can't decide to hold him or trade him because the tag. I think the tag's going to green personally.
I don't know if Finn gets the tag, but I mean, St Kilda are the ones that offered him 17 mil, so they might send a message by tagging him. You do get the extra trades during the buys, so maybe the boosts aren't that important. But I know that I'm holding at least one until the second half of the year.
Are you holding one for the buys?
No, I'm holding one for post buys.
Oh, you're holding one for post buys. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
For your final upgrades, I guess.
I mean, I think it was round. There was a round at some point last year where I think we got hit by a lot of players out injured or something. Can't exactly remember the situation, but I used 2 trades and had to field a 0 that week because I think there was 4 injuries and a suspension or something that hit my team, and there were lots of people out there that couldn't field a full squad. So I'd like to have a boost up my sleeve for late in the season should I need it. I might find that I need to use it earlier than that, but I am trying to ration my boosts as best possible. But Brad's completely right. You do get 3 during the buys, and is there 5 buy rounds this year?
Yes. I think it's around 12 to 16, I believe.
So 12, 13, 14, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah. So maybe you don't need to hold.
They're a lot more manageable than previous years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I almost prefer that than 3 teams with 6 teams with 3 buys, or a couple with 6, a couple with 4, and 2. So, was it 5 buys last year?
No, I think it was only 4.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think that's fine. I don't think Finn trading out is worth a boost, though.
I think he'll be fine. I think he's just in
he'll
a.
be fine. Yeah,
I think he's fine.
yeah. The Greek Raven. Hi, lads. This week for me, I didn't want to, but I had to use another boost. And that allowed me to go 2 up, 1 down. Callahan, Richards, Ed Richards, I believe. Nod for Whitfield, Sarong, Dudley. Is it 2 up, 1 down? Yeah. Well, Whitfield and Sarong are a lot more supreme choices. If you wanted to get Clay Hall instead of Dudley, then maybe you could do Whitfield. You could do Clark or Nass instead of Whitfield, but I do think Whitfield is potentially D1 this year, depending how long Sheasel is in this backline role.
Is Richards a trade? He's gone 119, 105, 76, 97. So he's not doing that badly, but I do think having both Callahan and Richards mean you're getting 2 midfielders that are very samey in their current form. So perhaps don't use a boost. Maybe only trade one of Callahan or Richards, probably Callahan in this situation. Callahan and Nod for Sarong and then a rookie might be better. I think that Richards is definitely a hold, and Bontempelli is only 1 to 2 weeks away, according to the Bulldogs injury report. So his role, his scoring, his role could improve in just a few weeks' time, whereas Callahan is playing the role that we saw all along. And while we've been telling other people to hold him in this situation, you've got 2 guys with very samey scoring habits at the moment, and you probably can't hold both as it stands. Callahan and Nod for maybe a Sarong and a Clay Hall is probably a better trade.
Yeah, I agree. I think Richards is a hold. I still think there's another few weeks of him having this expanded role without Bont. But it does seem like I think a lot of people and I sort of predicted I sort of guessed this as well. I thought Richards was going to get that huge spike without Bont, but it seems like it's more towards Libba.
Yeah, I think Richard's spike is coming, but when Bont returns.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Richards is fine. I think you can hold for the time being. Cheers, fellas. No problem, SuperCoach. Back to the Greek Raven. I can't afford any other rookies if he was to do that move.
Yeah, I mean, we've given him some other options now. So yeah. See how you go. You still got a few hours to tinker with your team and find the best combination.
Yeah. I've actually still haven't done my adjustments, so I got to do that today for my team. Should I get rid of Henderson or Camporeale this week? See with team sheets tonight, but if not named, Camporeale. I think he had a goal and 15 touches in the VFL last week.
Yeah, I think Henderson, as long as I think Henderson's time is coming close to being the end. But while he's going to have that green tick, while he is going to be selected, while he's playing, just leave him on your bench. You don't need to have him on field to get that 40 points. You don't need those 40 points. Just let him continue to make cash slowly, continue to be a slow burn. Once he gets dropped, that's when you move him on.
I also think as well, it's not the worst hold with Henderson because there are a few, like Melbourne's depth is under question. I think that's for sure. So I don't think it would take much for him to come back in anyway. Like there's guys like Billings and all that.
I'm annoyed with how Melbourne use Henderson.
Well,
and I was watching the Geelong game, and there was times where it felt like he was being used as almost a decoy. they would almost go, yeah, go run up there so I could, and then I'll do my thing here, and then the ball goes down the other wing, and it's like, and so Henderson's having to run across the field, puffs himself out, goes off the field for 10 minutes, and then that's when Melbourne have all the run, and he doesn't get a go in any of it. He was even attending stoppages in that second half, and no one was even looking for him as an outlet handball or an outlet kick. So I think his time is coming. You don't win the best on ground in a VFL final for nothing. I think his time is coming where he's going to put out a massive score.
Let's hope so. I think one thing as well to keep in mind, Damo, you can correct me.
And
if I'm wrong.
by massive score, I mean higher than 40 points. So like 70.
His score of 60 is going to feed families, Damo. I'll tell you what. Just one more thing I wanted to touch on with Henderson. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe he's getting forward DPP next week.
Should do, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's half forward, so you would think so. Yeah, so, I mean, it's not the worst hole if he gets dropped this week, there's not much money coming. You know, just to have him as a mid forward on your M11 bench, I don't think it's the worst play in the world either.
Yep.
I'll tell you, shout out to everyone in the stream. This is all time stuff right here. This is a really good stream. So thank you guys so much for jumping on. This will be one of the longer ones in a while, I think, Damo. Thanks, guys. No problem. Matthew. H-Man, nod to Sarong with a single trade. Thanks to Bank. Yep, that's lovely.
Yep.
Other option would be additional trade of Henderson, Warner, Stone, whoever isn't playing for Hall. Then I could get Whitfield for nod.
I like the first trade, the nod to Sarong in one. I like that more. But if you don't have Whitfield, that's hard because they're both really good options. So Warner and Stone are probably coming to the end of their rookie life. Clay Hall is about to start an awesome run without Tim Kelly. Whitfield is still in reach for a lot of people at just over 600k. But then nod to Sarong is only one trade.
Yeah.
I don't think you can go wrong with either. Personally, I think nod to Sarong in one trade is better. It leaves that other trade open for if there is a complete red herring thrown to us in team selections. But I think nod to Sarong is my vote.
Yeah, I would say if none of Henderson, Warner, or Stone isn't dropped, I would probably do nod to Sarong.
Yeah.
But Clay Hall, tough to fade.
Yeah. Mate, this is, I don't think he can go wrong with either of these moves.
I'd almost do nod to Sarong and then one of those, if not named, to Hall and just leave it at that. Don't worry about Whitfield.
Why not nod to Sarong and then one of those rookies down to Hall?
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if any of them are dropped, I'd be doing those too.
Yeah.
Samuels 96. Hey guys, hope you're going well, mate. I've gone Day, O'Driscoll, and Roberts for Brayshaw, Hall, and Whitfield. Should I reverse the trade for Roberts for Whitfield to save the boost? Yeah, I wouldn't be trading Roberts.
Yep. We're reacting to one game. He scored a 77. Not annoying score, but not a disaster. We're reacting to one game. I think we spoke about at the beginning of the broadcast that the season's moving quickly. People are needing to make decisions quickly. It's getting to the point where we now need to really start deciding how we want our teams to look by the end of the season, not by the end of next week. So
great quote.
So Matt Roberts, we're reacting after one game. He didn't have the great first half, but he still scored 77. I think he scored like 60 points in a half to get his score up to what he got. So I really think that Matt Roberts is going to be fine.
Yeah, we hope so. I think Day and O'Driscoll to Brayshaw and Hall is just fine as well. Like,
Yeah.
I would save the boost. I wouldn't do Roberts for Whitfield via a boost. Lachlan Hurley, hope you're going well, mate. I have Zork, Stewart, Dale, Roberts, Nass.
I'm gonna guess Bice
Bice,
and Reed
Bice.
with
Yep.
Trainer and Patton on bench.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then his follow-up is
Oh, sorry. Is there a follow-up? Should I
should
trade out
trade
Nod for-
yeah. Should I trade Nod for Nass in one and move Reed to flex? Yeah, that's fine.
I am okay with that. Yeah. Yep, that's cool with me. Yeah, go for it, Lockie. Causa. I have a feeling I'm going Stone to Clay Hall this week, which sets me up next week for Stone and Hasty to Cleary and Stewart. Those are some nice moves.
Sorry, did you? I think you read that wrong. O'Driscoll to Clay Hall sets me up for Stone and Hasty to Cleary and Stewart. Yep, that looks great, Corey.
Yeah. Did I not say next week?
I don't know what Steve said, but no, that looks perfect, mate.
Yeah, I agreed with you, Damo. I agree. Yeah, sorry, I don't think I read out the next week part.
You read all of the names, but in the wrong order.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My apologies. All right, Corey, that's great with me. Rookie coach, considering Rosie is going to bleed some cash if you faded him, is there a case to get him in once bottomed out in price? I know you're very much against trading a player out to get him back in, but would you think of that? We haven't talked about Rosie, haven't we? Are you a trade or a hold?
What is he scoring? Let's have a look. Oh, fuck. I need to see him get back to that early season sort of scoring before I would even consider bringing him back, even as a bottomed out player.
Yeah. Do you reckon he's a hold?
For the people that own him, if you're someone that owns Rosie and Callahan, you got to trade one. I think.
I agree. Yeah, both are losing too much. I'd probably trade Callahan instead of Rosie, just in case he's like Rosie's. There's history.
It will depend on what you can. It will depend on what you can do with the money. If you need the extra money from Rosie, I've got no problem with people holding Callahan. If trading Callahan does what you want to do, then that's fine as well. I don't think it's a case of one. I don't think it's a case of one's better than the other. I think it's a case of what you can do with the money at this point.
Yep, I agree. Super coach. Thanks for the advice. I'm now going out. Stone, O'Driscoll, and Callahan in Sardis, Whitfield, Brayshaw. $200 left in the bank. You can get yourself a good fishing rod for those 200. So I reckon that's fine with me.
Yep, sounds good.
Chris Davis, Cleary an option if you don't like Hall. I'd probably wait.
I mean, he is an option, but yeah.
Yeah, he is an option. More likely, ideally for next week, yes. Tyrone Power. Thank you for 41 streamers. This is the most 41 viewers. This is the most we've had for sure. Have Day, Nod, and Luke Jack in the ruck. Really struggling with who to swap into, especially ruck. Okay, so a boost is probably forced here. Briggs.
So hang on. So Day and Nod, and so Nod's about 300k, Day's 480, Luke Jackson's about 557. So you probably have about 600. Oh, let's do some maths here for you, mate. You can probably go Clay Hall as one of your trade-ins. He's going to be nice and cheap for you. Yep. And then, so let's have a look. Let's go. So it's about 484 plus 557 plus about 300 plus whatever he has in the bank. He can go 2 600k players in Clay Hall.
So you could grab like Gawn and Brayshaw or Gawn and Sarong.
Yep, and then go for it, and then go Clay Hall.
Yeah, if you don't have one of those guys, then that's probably what you do. If you can fit in Whitfield, you probably go there as well.
Yeah, he's saying that he's got 98k in the bank.
98k in the bank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
So,
mate,
if
you can get 2 600k guys, plus go shopping for a good rookie. And if you didn't get Riley Bice, you can get Riley Bice as well.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned Riley Bice yet. Is that the number one essential trade in for the week if you don't have him?
I would usually say if someone's gone up in price, if you like, if someone's gone above 200k from their initial rookie price, I would usually say you've missed the boat. I've already said that Murphy Reed might be an okay trade in. I think Riley Bice with still a break even of -98. He literally doesn't even have to play. He can go on the field and touch the ball no times, and he will still make money.
Yeah, legit.
Like I think he is the number one trade in this week.
Yeah,
because only about 26% of teams jumped on him last week.
I 100% agree. So for all the viewers out there, all of our advice might not mean much if you don't have Riley Bice. So just make sure you get him in before it is too late. Where were we up to? Yeah, Scorched Earth 1. I've gone Nod. It's here. I've gone Nod, Callahan, and Campo for Bice, Sarong, and Sardis. Very
Excellent.
strong trades. That is
Excellent.
beautiful. That is beautiful. Causa, I was at the game with Roberts, probably because you're a North Melbourne legend. I was getting burnt open when Blakey and Hamling, as they kicked down the line all the time. Also North was accurate on the night too.
Yeah, he'll be fine. Roberts
that's
will be fine.
That's how I read it as well. He'll be fine, Roberts. He'll be fine. Lachlan Hurley. So this was back with the nod for Nass in one trade, moved to rated flex with the defender discussion. Or instead of Nass in one, I could do Sarong and blissfully ignore Flynn at R2, praying that he is named, or I can take the hit and bring in X next week. If Flynn's named, he's a hold. Bring in Cherry next week. Yeah, so I feel like that this is a team selection question for you. If Flynn's named, then you could probably do that instead. If he's not named, you do what you mentioned earlier. Oh, yes, a bit of John Newcomb talk. I love it. Is Nuke a conversation now with Day down, or is he the obvious tag target now and a trap? I think there's just better options in the midfield.
I just remember how Newcomb scored when Day wasn't playing last season.
Yeah, that is true, but he does become the number one tag target. I think, I don't know. I want to see how he looks first. I think, I think there's a high chance Newcomb gets Will and Drew this week.
Yep.
And then Hawthorn have got, oh God, I'm a Hawks footer. I should know who we play next week. I cannot believe this. Who have we got? Easter Monday. I can't believe I forgot about that. Might get Mark O'Connor, but yeah, just see how Newcomb looks first, but he could very much be in the conversation. Love the Thursday stream, boys. Really helps the Thursday work past. Thank you, Lockie. Thank you for jumping on, mate. Chris Davis, Papley out for 6 weeks, so Cleary might have better job security than Clay Hall. No one is safe at West Coast at the minute. I mean, it's quite clear that Hall hasn't got good job security.
I think Clay Hall's got better job security. Well, okay. Cleary might have better job security at the moment, but with Tim Kelly getting dropped ahead of Clay Hall, we think, if both get dropped, then that's an amazing call by Andrew McQualter. But I think with Tim Kelly getting dropped, rest in peace, Tim Kelly at M5.
Yeah.
Clay Hall's job security goes up a bit. And
yes.
and Corey in the chat has just pointed out that Clay Hall had the number 1 CBAs on the weekend as well.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So, would you say Clay Hall's a better option than Moraes was last week?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Richards, Rosie, Nod, and Callahan. What do I do? 4 boosts left. Has he left anything else? No. I hold Richards.
Hold Richards. Trade.
And hold one of Rosie or Callahan.
I would hold. Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. I would trade Rosie and Nod, and hold Richards and Callahan if I was in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as you said before, trade one of Rosie or Callahan if you've got them both. So yeah, I think this is one of Rosie or Callahan and Nod to trade. Lindsay, good to go. Came up on Instagram on SuperCoach. Yeah, he's available for selection this week. Let's hope that Goodwin isn't a psychopath and doesn't make him sub to ease him back into it. Have 98k in the bank. Tyrone Power. Oh yeah, sorry.
We've already gone through that. Yep.
Yep, we discussed that. Is trading Rosie, Nod to Whitfield and Hall good? Yep.
Yes. Yep.
Very good.
Sounds good.
With 150k in the bank, M3 Dawson.
Yep. Sounds good. Yep. Tick.
Yep. And as Corey mentions, Clay Hall had number 1 CBAs on the weekend too.
Oh my God. How many comments? Thanks, guys.
No, really appreciate it. Thank you guys very much.
One more. Hall or Sardis?
Hall or Sardis?
Hall. Just because he's cheaper.
Yeah. Chris Davis tags should go to JHF or Butters now. Rosie could come back. I know he'll lose cash this week, but could be a hold. Yeah, I think he's a hold if you don't have Callahan as well. If you have one or the other, pick and choose, Chris.
Yeah, I think if you only have Rosie, you hold Rosie. But if you have both Rosie and Callahan, one has got to go because you can't rely on 2 of your midfielders to regain form, especially in this early part in the season while everyone's points are so close and all the ranks are so easy to move around in. Late in the season, an extra 30 points once your midfielder's back in form isn't going to do a lot.
Yep, I agree. All right, let's get back to the question for Damo.
Yeah.
How many?
I don't predict margins.
You don't predict margins? You just hope for a Freo win?
Especially in game. Freo, these are one of these games. I've been a Freo supporter my entire life, and I know when Dockers are favourites by this much money, by this much confidence, there's going to be a letdown somewhere. Whether it's margin, whether it's even winning, mate. I have been stung by disappointment as a Dockers fan. I do not predict margins.
You just hope for a win.
Exactly right. I don't care how much they win by. Yeah, it could be 1 point. It could be 1 point with a contentious umpiring decision.
Yeah. Winners are grinners and losers can please themselves, Damo. Christian, thoughts on Saligo, Will Ashcroft, and Dunkley?
Out of those 3, Dunkley, and then Saligo.
And then Will Ashcroft 3.
Yeah. But all great options. Yep.
If you, we talked about Jake Saligo a bit earlier. So if you want to go back and listen to our discussion specifically on Saligo, you're more than welcome to have a look back at that. Tyrone Power, Day, Nod, Luke, Jack out in Whitfield, Gawn, Clay Hall.
Excellent.
Yep. Love this. All right, let's get back to the run sheet to wrap things up, Damo. So we've had a fair bit of rookie discussion here, so we won't have to bother with that. So for Flynn Artuas, there's still a couple out there, including myself, yes. Who would you say is the best rucks to target?
Depends on the cash in the bank. I
Yeah.
think if you're looking for a cheap ruckman, Kieran Briggs' break even is now low enough at 77 that at 473k is not the worst option. Scored a 99 and a 107 since returning from his concussion. Not too bad. Comes up against Rowan Marshall this week. Perhaps Harry Boyd as well. Who knows? But I think Kieran Briggs is a decent option at 473k. The next guy I would probably look at is... It really depends how much money people have in the bank, because Lloyd Meek at 531k becomes an option as well. Even Brodie Grundy at 528k is an option. But it's hard without knowing how much money people have to work with. For me, it's probably Kieran Briggs as the number one option that doesn't cost too much money to get up to.
Yep. Fair enough. Would you have gone over Briggs if you had the money?
Yes. Yeah. But going from 260k to 577k, that's 300k that you've got to find, which probably requires you to trade out another player. And who else are you trading? Where's that money coming from?
Yeah.
Like, in my opinion, not a lot of there's people that have massive amount of cash in their bank, but for those that don't have a lot of cash in their bank, and can only really and can go that let's say it's Flynn, Nod, and that's the only, and then you've got whatever cash in your bank. That's not a lot of money to work with. Briggs and Clay Hall, you can go Flynn and Nod to Briggs and Clay Hall, and that's actually a pretty good trade. If you've got extra cash and you can get Max Gorn, then that's fine. But that's another 350k that you got to find. I don't think anyone's got that money without trading out another premium somewhere.
Well, luckily I've got Riley Sanders.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I think my trades at the minute are Gorn and Clay Hall or Sardis for Sanders and Flynn.
Excellent.
Which means holding O'Driscoll for another week, but that would mean if I went O'Driscoll instead of Sanders, I wouldn't get Gorn. So I'm just going to use Nod as a loophole.
Excellent. Sounds good.
All right. I guess we've had a fair bit of discussion on this as well. Best primo to jump on in general, for me, that would be Lockie Whitfield.
Okay, are we talking about best budget primo? Best primo, like, what are the best primo in general? Is way too broad. If for me, and I think I said this earlier, Nazai Wanganeen-Malera is my top primo of the week.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I think I'll just put that in general, and I don't have the brain power anymore to think of anything else.
If you gave me parameters like best forward primo, best midfield primo, best budget primo, then maybe I would have been able to get a better answer. But in terms of best trade-in, I think he's flying under the radar. I think he's doing just as well as any other guy out there at the moment. Nazai Wanganeen-Malera is my top primo trade-in for the week.
I'll make that adjustment to the run sheet for next week, Damo. All right, couple more discussions. Leave any comments down below for any final questions as well. We've talked a fair bit about primo swapping in the comments as well. We'll talk about who's on the hot seat for you this week, Damo. Who is the one player, who's the one anything in AFL SuperCoach land or AFL land that is in the hot seat for this week?
Simon Goodwin.
He's been a favourite.
Clayton Oliver, starting Clayton Oliver on the bench. One of your best centre clearance players doesn't put him on the field until 15 minutes into the first quarter. What are you doing? There is so on Footy Mailbag, Clarkie's massive Melbourne fan. He only refers to Simon Goodwin as Simon. There is no good win about Simon at the moment.
Yeah. Bad loss. Simon, bad loss. Fair enough. I guess for me, we've been very big advocates for holding this man, and we need that faith repaid again, even though he's given us a fair bit of faith over the first few weeks. We need to bounce back out of Matty Roberts. We're seeing a lot of problems starting to pop up in SuperCoach. We don't need another problem with Matty Roberts if he can't deliver. So Matty Roberts, we're not asking for a ridiculous amount. A 90 plus will do the job just fine, especially against Collingwood that are an easy matchup for opposition defenders to score on. I think Roberts under the Friday night lights at Adelaide Oval, we need a response at his hometown as well. Didn't mention that, didn't even think of that 10 seconds earlier. At his homeland, Roberts, we need a response, mate. And we'll have the faith if you give us a response, but we need one less problem next week, especially if TDK is named with Pitternet. That will become an issue. All right, final discussion. We'll be talking about vice captain and captain choices for your sides this week. Damo, what are you personally looking at for your personal team, and who are some of the best options?
I'm going with a VC on Lockie Neal against the Bulldogs.
Great pick.
And then my captain is Andy Brayshaw.
Very similar vibe with me. If Pitternet is not named, I am going VC TDK. If Pitternet is named, I'm going VC Harry Sheasel, and I'm captaining Andy Brayshaw.
Excellent. Sounds good.
And if you have Caleb Sarong, same thing with that. You're more than welcome to chuck the C on him. He'll be fine. I think, TDK is a really good option if you've got him and he's not named with Pitternet.
If you're one of the few owners with Matt Rowell or Noah Anderson, I like them against North Melbourne. If you have, if you've got Jordan Dawson, I like him against the Cats. I like him against the Cats. Dunkley is also an option against the Dogs as well. There's not really an option in the Melbourne Essendon game. Perhaps Max Gawn, but he will be double teamed up against Draper and Bryan.
What about Zach Merritt?
I forgot about him. Yeah, he is an option. And then on the Sunday, obviously we've talked about Brayshaw, Sarong. Those are probably the two main guys. Jordan Clark, if you can do a late VC-C kind of swap somehow. St Kilda, Giants, small ground at Norwood. Small ground at Norwood. Lockie Whitfield could probably kick a goal from doing a kick out. Like that.
Yeah.
Like that's so I like him as a captaincy option there. Don't mind Nazire or Sinclair as well as backup options. Probably Sinclair more of a C option. Too late for a VC on Nazire, but I still like him as an option who could potentially go large if you want a bit of a swing at the fences there. And then Port Adelaide, Hawks at Adelaide Oval.
Nothing.
You could go Butters, but who knows about a tag there? You could go. Yeah, there's not a lot of players in that last game.
No. Well, I guess Hawthorn aren't really relevant to Supercoach this year, are they? The only thing was Will Day, and he's getting bloody tagged and getting injuring his foot again.
I've got my eye on Henry Hustwaite if he gets a go in that Hawks side without Will Day.
I think it will be Warple that comes in. That's the only thing.
I've got my eye on Henry Hust.
Mate, he's absolutely killing it in the VFL.
They haven't even offered Warple a contract yet. If they're not going to keep him, they may as well play Hustwaite.
Yeah. I think Hawthorn are offering will offer 3 or 4 years at 600, where I think Melbourne and St Kilda will offer 5-6 years at 800. So be interesting. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep Warple. Go get your bag, King. We love you. We'll get to the comments in a sec. One last thing we didn't touch on was Abs Magic.
Love him. Calm her down.
We love Abs Magic. He's one of the main people that made me relevant at all in the SuperCoach community. We love Abdul. We love his work. What do you so we discussed about this. We texted each other this, and we just wanted to have a little bit of a discussion before we wrap things up here about him targeting 6 primo mids and 9 primo defenders. So I guess it's not the discussion about Abs, but more of a discussion about, is the defenders the new midfield? And with all these tags coming and just the way it's being played, do you see this as a potential? Do you see this as being real? Is this real? Is it a defender's going to be better than midfielders? I know he's not saying that, but that sort of realm of possibility.
I mean, upgrade season's around the corner, and we probably know what the defender primos are looking like. Whereas there's still a bit to shake out in the midfield. I look at the top averaging mids, and Dunkley's at 127. Hugh McCluggage is at 126. Tom Liberatore is at 124. Tuke Miller's at 121. If those are 4 of the top 5, how many of that can be sustained? I don't think we know what the midfield is going to look like at the end of the year. So perhaps focusing on your defense as the first point that you upgrade is probably better. And targeting these guys like a Jack Sinclair, like a Max Holmes, even a Rory Laird, who's probably going to get DPP eventually, might be better off. So I think it makes sense a little bit, but
I think it's fair to assume.
I think the midfield will eventually shake out, and there'll be some options late in the season. But right now, it's hard to know how the midfield is going to look,
because the midfield as well is just getting tagged more than the defenders are, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
we've got a better scope on how we know the top 6 defenders as compared to the top 8 mids. So it makes sense to eye up Zorko when he drops, Sinclair when he drops, Whitfield now, Clark, Ryan you expect to eventually bounce back to some extent, Nazai Wanganeen Millera, Dale, there's a couple of others I'm missing, probably Rory Laird. We know what the defenders are going to shape out to be. We don't know with the midfield yet, and we're seeing the tags be more relevant than ever. We're seeing just a lot of these midfielders that aren't getting tagged or won't get tagged, just scoring better than the actual better midfielders. So, so it's an interesting discussion and something we'll look into. Good discussion, Damo. Let's wrap up some of these comments and we'll be out of here. Where were we up to? I forgot.
We looked at that. No, we looked at that. I think it's the next one.
Yeah, I think, is it this one here?
Yeah.
Who goes into flex? Trainer/Pryor? Decide to fade Zach Reid. Pryor, yes.
Yeah. I think we spoke about it earlier. Melbourne is giving up a lot of points to defenders this year, so Pryor will probably have a pretty good day at the Adelaide Oval on Saturday night.
Yep. VC Sheasel into Sarong. Beautiful.
Excellent. Yep.
Love that, Christian. James P. Hope you're going well, mate. What do we do if Cherry misses 1-2?
You
I
lay
don't know.
down. You find a corner. You make sure that the ground is nice and soft. Then you put yourself in the fetal position, and then you just start crying. No, but Drew Jones has tweeted that Tristan Sherry he spent a portion of training today doing run throughs and talking to training staff. So same as last week though. Last Thursday he did the same thing, and they said it was the plan for him to have a light session. So maybe they're still managing through. So maybe they're still managing him through that hamstring soreness. Maybe it's not maybe it's been getting scanned and there's nothing there, so they're not entirely sure what's going on. But yeah, I think until we get more news, until he's actually missing, there's not a lot that we can do. And if he misses, I think you just got to hold him and just hope that your 22 can score well enough that he can just be the 23rd that drops out.
Yeah, I think you just have to hold and just hope he comes back next week. He's not a trade out, but
No,
there's
well, not a trade out yet.
no trade out yet. I don't know. There's just not much you can really do. You just hope that he gets named and keeps playing each week, really. Especially now we're out of best 18. Who do you think gets tagged tonight for Adelaide? Could it be Saligo? Geelong don't really have a player that high to go with Dawson.
Yeah, Geelong didn't tag anyone at Melbourne last week either.
Yeah, because they've been using O'Connor as a sub and stuff.
They used O'Connor on Neil, but they hadn't tagged in any of the other games. So I don't know if there's a tag. If they did tag, I would think Dawson.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they tag.
Geelong are I'm pretty sure Geelong are the only team when we don't know if they're tagging week in, week out, because it just changes consistently.
Yeah.
Hawthorn could maybe be in the similar boat because we saw Finn McGuinness come out of the depths of hell to have a crack at Finn Callahan a couple of weeks ago. Causa, VC Dawson into TDK, but would love Anderson into TDK. Yeah, I don't know how good Dawson goes tonight, but I think that's fine. Dawson's form is very good, and if they don't tag him, we know what happened the opening of Gather Round a couple of years ago against Carlton. He went 170. No, was it Carlton? Yeah, it was Carlton. Where he went absolutely nuts. TDK is a good option if Pitt's not named. HHFC forever. Is Hewitt nearly considered a dead rookie? Job security seems okay. Scoring seems average. Injury news. So I know Minnie McQualter said in his presser or whatever the case may be that he isn't going to play this week. It was a very low grade calf injury. He injured it on the last Thursday, which meant that it was really tough for him to, play the game on the weekend. From what I read, it did seem like he wasn't going to play this week either. So I think he'll eventually come back in, but I mean, for now, he might be dead.
Yeah.
Probably a guy. Yeah, I think the money's going to be very slow out of him if he was to come back anyway. Bonton Butters out made it so harder for this year to pick players. Yeah, we went to Aldi for most of our mid options. Bonton Butters will be in the conversation in due course. They'll be pretty late upgrades, though. Well, Bont will. Butters might be round 10, round 11, whenever the price drops. Lachlan Hurley, hey Damo, why Nass over Whitfield for overall primo? Is it price per point ownership?
Steve, this is why I said, what did you mean by best primo trade-in?
Yeah, I'm sorry. All right.
I, I I love Whitfield. I think Whitfield's a great option. But when I'm asked best primo to trade in, are we talking about budget option? Are we talking about matchup? Are we talking about fixture run? Are we talking about current form? I I need parameters when I'm asked these sorts of things. Whitfield is fine, but I didn't want to give the same answer as Steve.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll adjust that for the run sheet next week. Any captain loopholes on the Sunday? Haven't checked yet. O'Driscoll.
If you're holding O'Driscoll, yeah. Ben. Oh no, not Ben Patton. He's
St Kilda or GWS? No, not really. Oh, Harry Boyd.
yeah. If you Harry Boyd is an option, he might be playing this week though. We don't know. But then again, he might just be this year's Tom Campbell, where he's named as emergency every single week. If you still have, if you're one of the owners that still has Liam O'Connell, he might be a loop option. If you're one of the guys, if you're someone that still has James Leake, he might be an option. Early in the season, there's not a lot of ways to loop unless it's your ruck line. So Harry Boyd is probably the loop option to go with if you need one.
Does the Richmond Freo game and the St Kilda GWS game clash? Just for anyone out there that might want to VC Brayshaw Sarong into Whitfield, maybe.
The fourth quarter would have started by the time the St Kilda Giants games begins, so you'll have a pretty good idea on what people's scoring is going to look like.
Yeah, if you want to go really balls to the wall
But
stuff.
yeah, but that would be a really late VC.
Yeah, we probably don't recommend doing that. Although Brayshaw and Sarong will probably be on 100 at 3/4 time anyway. Josh, thoughts on Cleary long-term job security? I think medium-term it's fine.
How long's Papley out for? 5 weeks. That's
5
probably
to
his
7
job
weeks.
security.
Yeah, that's in the 3 price rises minimum out of Cleary. Tone V, Atkins on Dawson, potentially could happen. Geelong change it every week though.
Yep, potentially.
Yep, whatever they feel like doing. Rankin Prob, yeah, if he plays tonight, it seems like a real 11th hour situation with Rankin on whether he's going to play or not. I'm not expecting too much out of him tonight if he is to play, to be honest, Damo.
I think they won't play him unless he's going to play his usual role.
Yeah, because he wasn't even in the captain's run. They just named him just in case. Causa. Nas went massive last year at Gather Round against the Tigers last year. Yes, good point. That ground suits Wagon and Miller pretty well, I would have thought. Or do you reckon the wider ground suit him better? Any ground?
Any ground. He's a good player.
Yeah, they can play on Mars if they want to. Harry Boyd plays Sunday. Where's this coming from? I haven't heard anything about Boyd playing.
He means Harry Boyd St Kilda plays on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. My apologies. H-Man, thanks, fellas. Great content. Cheers for jumping on. Rankin doesn't get selected. What do we do?
Okay, if Rankin and Cherry are both out, there will be a lot of people in the same boat, and it might be interesting. But in saying that, if you have Rankin, you probably have a Kako or someone on your bench who should be good enough to cover, even if it is only a score of 50 or 60. It's better than nothing.
Yeah, I've got Davidson as the backup for Rankin, so mildly hope he misses. No. Well, no, we want him to play. That would be Stone for me. Stone against St Kilda, defender for the opposition. sounds okay if he gets named. Damo, I think we might wrap this up, mate. This has definitely been the record for the biggest stream. Shout out to everyone that jumped on the live stream. We really appreciate all the support. This absolutely smashed the park as the best one. We know it's not in the best time in the world, but we really do appreciate everyone jumping on. All the questions been amazing. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to AFL Supercoach Throwdown Thursday. We'll be back at the same time next week, every week throughout the season. Damo, it's been a pleasure as always.
Thanks for inviting me back. I am glad I am not making this into a disaster. So thanks for having me. Thanks for everyone's questions.
Thank you, everyone, for jumping on. And we'll see you, hopefully see you guys all here next week, as I'm sure there'll be a lot more problems to deal with. See you guys. Have a good afternoon. Enjoy Gather Round. Catch ya.
See you guys.